I am headed off to meet some friends this weekend in the Mark Twain National Forest. It's pretty much guaranteed to be a good time, so come along. Welcome back to another episode of Eric's Camping Adventures. We're going to go on another search today looking for some beautiful places. So today I am traveling to the Mark Twain National Forest with Lisa and Ann from cooltearsmagazine. They are pulling a Timberleaf teardrop behind a Dodge Ram, and we are headed through the hills of Missouri. We actually got a little bit later start than we anticipated, so we are headed into the Brazil Creek Trailhead campground a little bit later than we thought we would be. So we're going to set up quick here and probably make some dinner and get to bed. We set up where it was easy for Ann and Lisa to pull their teardrop trailer into this little right-of-way for the power lines. There were some campsites along there, but the nice campsites are really right over here, tucked back into the little coves protected by the trees, and then there's some more open sites as well. This is a nice little campground. You may ask yourself, how does this 50-something-year-old boring Tulsan know the cool ladies from Cool Tears magazine? And the answer to that's real simple. I grew up with Lisa. We went to school together. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute, why Lisa was an unforgettable classmate. The Brazil Creek Campground is in the Mark Twain National Forest, and you want to get off the highway at Bourbon, Missouri, and head south on 185. Travel through a couple small roads and you'll get there, but it is a quiet little place off the beaten path. I would describe it as low use, the same as the National Forest website. There were a couple backpackers there and a couple other campers, but otherwise it was just very quiet and peaceful. After a quiet night of rest, I got up and started my little routine of making some coffee. What a pleasant, dew-soaked morning. This is a pretty mature forest, so the sunrise and the sunset didn't get down into the right-of-way. I had to capture that with my drone. So while I am making my coffee and Ann and Lisa are still asleep, I am going to tell you how Lisa is an unforgettable classmate. So Lisa and I were in kindergarten, first grade, and second grade together. And in first grade, we had this teacher, Mrs. Leatherman, and she was still teaching in her 90s. Mrs. Leatherman was old school, and if I remember it right, we had a little Bible reading and said the Lord's Prayer before we went to lunch every day. So one day when we all got back in from recess, all the kids were goofing around, pulling the chairs out from behind their friends, right beside them. And I decided to do this to Lisa because she sat next to me. So I timed it just right, and Lisa went down right on her butt. But instead of laughing like all the guys were doing, Lisa started crying, and that attracted the attention of Mrs. Leatherman. I was escorted promptly to the hallway where I received some corporal punishment with 2 whacks from a small paddle and returned to my seat crying myself. When I got home later that day, I had this debate going on whether I would tell my mom they got a spanking at school today and what I did, but eventually I thought I better fess up, because if she finds out otherwise, I'm going to get a whack from my mom too. So I tell my mom what happened, and she gets on the phone and calls the school and talks to Mrs. Leatherman. And Mrs. Leatherman says, "Eric is a good boy. I have never even had to give him a dirty look to get him to behave himself." That acquired the attention of my mother. So I then got a spanking for lying. I guess it's likely that Miss Leatherman was old enough that she didn't remember what had happened that day. And by the time my mother called, she probably had no recollection of me getting a spanking in the hallway. I guess the moral of that story is never volunteer any information. Back to camping. The Brazil Creek area has a lot of hiking trails going out of it, as you can see on Gaia, and it is just a really beautiful area. And Lisa and I hiked around on some of the trails for a bit, caught up on everything since graduation, and worked up quite an appetite. Then we came back and cooked some dinner.
Area. We haven't talked through college.
This little box here is a peace offering from Michelle. My wife was unable to come camping with us this weekend, and she told me exactly how to warm up this apple pie and prepare it for our dessert. I decided to go with a sausage and pierogi dinner again, mainly because I could do it without Michelle's supervision, and that it was a pretty sure bet that I wouldn't ruin it. I was recently watching a video by Revere Overland, and he made the joking comment that the reason he doesn't do a cooking portion on his videos is because you might unsubscribe. Well, ditto to that.
I did that, all of my food would be on the ground for the bears.
You just pull it back. Oh, did she flip it? Pull it back.
We enjoyed a great dinner together, chased down some of the conversational threads from earlier in the day, and we just had a grand old time.
And we had been on the road for a while, and we'd driven what's called the $1 Million Highway. You've heard of it.
Our dinner was well seasoned with some camping conversation. I got some great camping ideas and videography ideas from Lisa and Ann. And you ought to take the time to check out their website and their Instagram page and Facebook for Cool Tears Magazine. It's a great resource, and we just had a great weekend together, just laughing and carrying on. Both about camping war stories and memories all the way back to high school. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Maybe gives you some ideas about getting together with some old friends and catching up. What a great time.
You can watch me eat mosquitoes as I talk. Wow, that was horrible.
Whoa, watch it there, Bambi.